Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Stacks, the podcast for Lincoln Township Public Library. I am Brian Johnston. I am the Adult Services Librarian here, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Amy Nolan, the Children's Librarian. Amy, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Brian. Glad to be here.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, I think we have a really interesting guest here today. Why don't you tell us about them a little bit?
Yeah, this is a really fascinating interview that we did with the Salvation Army in Benton Harbor, and we spoke to Mario and Melissa Bledsoe. And I think our listeners are going to learn a lot about the history of the Salvation Army internationally and nationally, and particularly about our Salvation Army here in the Benton Harbor area and everything they do for the community. It's a really interesting interview, and I think very informative.
Yeah, and they do a lot. And we're going to hear more
Oh
about
my gosh,
that,
do they ever.
Yeah.
And but before we get into that, Brian, I have heard a rumor that you're hosting a Charlie Brown Christmas party.
Yeah.
Let's hear about that, man.
Yeah, so I watch, well, there's two different Charlie Brown specials, and I have to watch them both every year. It's just a superstition I have. Yeah, I know.
I can't help but laugh. It's okay.
I'm almost 40 years old, but I still got to watch it anyway. So, so we're going to have, it's going to be a really cool event, I think. It's going to be on the evening of Monday, December 9th. It's going to start at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be held at the Lincoln Township Hall, which is pretty much right across the parking lot, right behind where our main library location is. It's an event for all ages. We think families and people of all ages will have a lot of fun. We're going to have a really cool Charlie Brown themed craft. We're going to have some snacks that are inspired by some of the Charlie Brown specials.
Oh, I love it.
We're going to have, I know it's not Christmas exactly, but for those of you that have seen the Thanksgiving special, they have Charlie Brown. He serves jelly beans, popcorn, and pretzel sticks. So we're going to have those for snacks, as well as maybe a couple other treats as well. And I'll read a Charlie Brown Christmas-themed story.
Oh.
And we're also going to have a really cool photo op for anybody that comes. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have to come and see what it is.
Aha.
So,
there's the hook.
There. Yeah,
there's
exactly.
The hook, folks.
Yeah, so we think it's going to be a really fun event. And the other thing is that we're also going to have a short trivia game as well. So lots of wonderful Charlie Brown themed activities just in time for Christmas here.
Oh, I love it.
So we're going to be doing that. And then we have another really cool event coming up that, Amy, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, I would love to. We're calling it the Snowball, and it is Friday, December 20th from 5:30 to 7. And one of the most exciting parts about this is it will be at the library.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be our newly renovated building.
Yes, and if you... at this point, if you haven't been in it, once we reopen, that could be your first entry into it. It's going to be beautiful. But the Snowball, it's a family event. All are welcome. We're going to have indoor snowball fights. Got to be here to experience it. Cocoa and cookies, of course. We're going to have a couple different crafts that you can do at the library and or take home and do there. And this is my hook to come. We're going to have a special friend present for this that you can have your photo taken with. That's going to be here, and you have to come to find out who that is.
Oh, I wonder who that could be.
I know, and it's a different special friend at both events, right, Brian?
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
so you got to come to both things, guys.
Yep. Well, hopefully we did enough to convince you to come. So.
Exactly.
Yep. All right, let's get started with our interview today. Our guests are Lieutenant Mario and Lieutenant Melissa Bledsoe. They are from the Salvation Army in Benton Harbor, and they serve West Berrien County and all of Van Buren County. Mario and Melissa, how are you both doing today?
All is well.
We're good.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're really glad you're with us today. So why don't you just start off by just telling us a little bit about yourselves.
Yeah, so we are Mario and Melissa. We're originally from Chicago, and we have been with the Salvation Army here in Benton Harbor going on 3 years now. We are first and foremost, we're pastors, we're ordained ministers of the Salvation Army, but we also wear another hat as the executive directors for the Salvation Army. And what's interesting about what we do is the easiest way to explain it is we're kind of like missionaries. So we're here for a while, but then eventually we will get appointed to be moved to go somewhere else.
Okay.
And so that's how we got from Chicago to Benton Harbor.
All right. Well, we're glad you're here.
And in Chicago, were you at a Salvation Army?
We were. At that point, I was just an employee.
Okay.
And then
I attended the church.
Yeah.
So we didn't have these roles. So this is our first official appointment.
Wow. Well, we're blessed. Thank you very
Amen.
much.
Thank you.
Can you share some history of the Salvation Army? I know I don't think a lot of people know. It's got a fascinating history and purpose. So if you could please enlighten our listeners, that would be great.
Yeah, so the Salvation Army was born in 1865 in England.
Wow.
Before it was called the Christian Mission, something like that. And so William Booth and Catherine Booth, the founders, they was in East London, and there's a lot of alcoholics and drugs and prostitutes. They wanted to help them get clean, and
they weren't welcome in the church,
in the Methodist church.
Interesting.
So William Booth would do street preaching and all that, and they get them cleaned up, and he would try to put them into different churches, but because they wasn't accepted, they started moving to different places and pretty much spreading the gospel, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So William Booth adapted something called, he was a Methodist preacher himself.
Okay.
And he adapted a concept, soup, soap, salvation. Soup, you feed you feed the person, then you clean them up, and then you preach the gospel to them.
It can easily be heard about Jesus.
And that's how the Salvation Army was founded.
Oh, wonderful.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
And the goal is
The exact same.
okay.
Yep.
We feed people, hence our food pantry, and probably, which is why we're known more for our social services than our religious portion of it. Because again, we want to feed and help our neighbors in need. We help people clothe them. We help people reclothe themselves and get reacclimated back into society, which here we have our men's shelter here, and nationally and globally, we offer many services like shelters or schools and hospitals and stuff like that. And then we have our church salvation portion.
And you kind of referred to it, I think, as the Salvation Army Church. So is it affiliated still with the Methodist, or is it its own thing? Or?
So it's considered its own denomination, but we are a branch of the Methodist Church.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. So what about the Salvation Army in Benton Harbor? How long has that been around here?
Well, we'll be celebrating 100 years in February of 2025.
Oh, wow.
Oh, great.
It's going to be exciting.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It is a very big deal.
Wow.
We're really excited about that.
Oh, yeah,
We were
that's
in
great.
3. This
Maybe-
will make our 3rd location.
I think 4.
Okay.
This is our 4th location.
I was going to ask that. Okay.
It's an old YMCA, and we came here about around 96, 97.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've been here ever since.
In this building. But yeah,
But we've been in Benton Harbor
going on 100 years.
100 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's excellent.
How do you get funding? How do you keep this going?
So it's generous donors of the community.
Okay.
United Way help us. We get grants for the shelter.
And we applied for a lot of those grants and stuff. And then we are in the middle, we're at the beginning of our Christmas campaign season.
Yes.
And our Christmas campaign season is probably the heart of our funding.
Okay.
If you ever found yourself going to Walmart or Harding's or Martin's, you'll probably hear bells ringing. And
They're there now.
They're there now. Yes.
Yeah.
And those funds, all the money that we raise, come back
It stays local.
here to this facility.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
That's local. So
Yeah.
we know if we give
100%.
And it helps us through the whole year.
Yep.
So not just for Christmas, but it helps year round.
Yep.
with
So this is your
services.
big fundraiser.
This is
It's our
big
biggest
one.
fundraiser.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. So the Salvation Army's been around here a long time. What are some of the ways in which you think it's changed over the years?
I think youth. It used to be a Salvation Army in Benton Harbor was a presence of music and youth.
Oh.
And I think now it's changing a little bit.
Okay.
But we just change our focus and we go back for the youth. We pivot and we just keep doing what we're doing. But I think that's one of the biggest things that
And I
changed
think
over the years.
also, as we probably all have experienced, especially post-pandemic,
Yes.
we are seeing an increase in need for both our food pantry, our social services, and even our homeless shelter. There's a housing crisis going
Yes.
on right now,
It's another
not
big
just
thing.
certainly
here
is.
in our area,
Yes.
but it seems to be nationally. There's just either not enough housing or housing is expensive.
Yeah.
And so people are having to choose between paying what bills and missing certain bills, having to miss buying groceries and instead coming to food pantries and stuff like that. So I think that at least here in Benton Harbor, the needs are changing to where we're finding ourselves helping neighbors a lot more than what we averagely, if that's even a word, used to doing.
Right.
So
is this is this sort of a new focus, or did you just have to redirect? So it's a new focus.
this is now a new focus. Since Mario and I have taken on the mantle here, our priorities has been looking out. We don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
So hence why our main focus is not youth program. We have other entities around the neighborhood that does a fantastic job with that.
Right.
But if we have already a big threshold in housing and food and stuff like that, our goal right now is to how can we magnify that? What else can we do? So
And
again,
also, how can we partner with
how
other
can we
people?
partner?
Okay.
Yeah.
So like currently our shelter is going through a renovation process that's wrapping up. We are seriously entertaining the idea of reopening of our child care center that we once had.
That's
And
another
then
change.
That's another
Yeah.
change.
Yeah.
There is a shortage of child care centers. Our 3-year-old now is home with us.
Right.
Because there are just waiting lists up the woozah for child care centers.
Oh, gosh.
And we are also seriously now we're starting the process of opening a transitional living space on our 3rd floor for homeless single men. Because again, there's no housing for people who either come out of prison or come out of homelessness.
Right.
It's not that easy to transition from being homeless to then being back into an apartment, especially for men who have been statistically homeless for a number of years. It takes some rehabilitation in order to get them back on their feet. So we are probably in the future going to be opening up a transitional space.
So can we talk about the space that we're in right now? So we're in what used to be the Y.
Yes.
And we're in downtown Benton Harbor. And in this facility is a men's homeless shelter, a food pantry, and then
We have our chapel.
your chapel,
Our
and then
church.
that has services.
Yep. And
Every
then our
Sunday.
second
Every
floor,
Sunday.
we have a gymnasium. We have a
We
fellowship
assist.
hall.
Yep. We assist with rental and utility
Assistance.
bills.
So case management, we offer case management.
We have youth programs on Monday to teach them music
Yep,
and
brass
character
instruments.
building.
Why aren't you guys more tired? You should just be.
If you ask us in
My
January at the
goodness.
end of the Christmas
Wow.
season,
And then you think in the same location, you might, you're thinking about having maybe transitional housing.
Yep.
Yep.
How is that different than a homeless shelter?
So, sorry to be the one to speak in the moment. Transitional space offers an opportunity for men to learn how to live on their own, but also have support available.
Okay.
It's like the middleman.
Right.
if you will.
Kind of like
So-
training wheels
Yep.
for housing.
Correct.
So there'll be a communal bathroom space, like showers and stuff. And there'll be a communal kitchenette area for them. But then they will have their own private rooms. They will learn how to budget. So the requirement is that the guys will have to work have to have some kind of income coming in, and then they'll be required to take some financial literacy classes. We have a blossoming relationship with Riverwood Center. So for those who may need additional mental health support or whatnot, they'll have that. But again, they'll have us as a safety net to where, again, they're not fully on their own,
right?
But they have the opportunity to learn how to reestablish themselves in the community while, again, having us here to walk alongside.
Wow, that's lovely.
You're really doing a lot of things.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen.
What are some of the what do you feel are some of the biggest misconceptions about the Salvation Army? Or maybe what are some things that maybe people don't quite know or understand about it? We've kind of talked about that a little bit, but I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I think the thrift stores. A lot of people think we're just a thrift store. They just know us about the kettles, but it's like we mentioned, it's a lot more. We love everyone without discrimination. So a lot of people think that we don't accept homosexuality. We love the person, so that's another big miscommunication. Anything comes to mind?
And that was probably my biggest one. And that's part of our mission statement, to meet human needs in His name, in Christ's name, without discrimination. And so we help everybody with all walks of life.
You can be
But
rich,
I think,
poor,
Right.
anybody that comes to our doors gets service.
And I think that also another misconception is the fact that people don't realize we're a church.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I don't think people realize that we have worship services, we have a congregation, we have, again, Mario and I, we do weddings, we do funerals. I mean, people don't really realize that.
And then also the uniform. It's like an expression of our faith, but people think that we either security guards,
pilots.
airplane pilots. It's just an expression of our faith. That's why we wear it.
It's quasi-military.
Because you have, like, we introduced you as lieutenants, right? So I hope this isn't a silly question, but if you join the ministry of the Salvation Army, do you start as a private? Or I mean, like,
so you start off, you technically start off as, if you're, the branch of the Salvation Army is so interesting. Yes. So like our congregation, if you join the church, you are considered a soldier.
Okay.
And then if you're a child or an adherent, and then once you go into the Salvation Army seminary, you're called a cadet. And then once you graduate and become ordained and become commissioned, you come out as a lieutenant. And then we get promoted. After we do continuing education, we're required to continue our education. Mario and I are blessed to where we've come in with a lot of experience. This is a second career for us, So then after that, you become a captain and then a major. And that's typically where most people stop, but there are also a bigger global ranking. So you could become a lieutenant colonel, you could become a commissioner, and then the one person who oversees the Salvation Army globally, he is our general.
Wow.
So that's interesting.
So cool.
Yeah.
I like, and he's in London,
He's stationed
which is
in
where
London,
it started. Okay. And now I know that. And now everyone listening knows that. How about locally? You guys have been here 3 years, you said?
Going on, yeah.
Okay. How has the community been supportive? How have you found the community support in this area for the Salvation Army?
Well, coming here, I think everyone knew the Salvation Army as the men's shelter. And that's it. And so we get so much support for our men in the men's shelter. But as Melissa and I have been trying to get to know people, getting out in the community, we get a lot of support from, like I said, donors who come alongside, help us with the food pantry, with general funds to do so much more. We serve at the soup kitchen, so we get help serving the people at the soup kitchen. It's a lot of things.
People donate
come
clothes.
alongside us.
We have a men's closet. And people donate clothes. We have people who donate food. People who donate their time, willing to come and help us.
Especially around this time.
We get
a lot of volunteers who
this
come
community
alongside.
Oh, that's great.
And that's been an eye-opening thing for us. Again, coming from Chicago, such a large city, there are over probably about 20 Salvation Army units just in Chicago.
Right.
And here you just have one. And so in Chicago, your mindset is a much larger scale. But here it's been so nice to be able to talk to donors. It's been nice to be able to meet with people face to face and not just, consider them, nameless people who just, but it's been really nice to be in a community who really loves their community.
Yes.
That's also new to us. We have been able to get to jump in and become a part of the community. Our kids have been able to jump in and be a part of the community. And we love it. So we told our leaders, don't ever move us.
At least 10 years.
Right.
At least.
We love it here.
Oh, that's great.
And being a smaller community and you getting to meet all these people, do you also feel that your impact has been greater because
Absolutely.
it's smaller and so you can see the fruits of your labor?
Again, statistically speaking, we've seen on average our Christmas goals have exceeded. We get reports over 5 years, and we can see monetarily wise our donations have increased, but also that goes back into statistically speaking, when we're having people with our food pantry and stuff, we're seeing an increase in that. Last year we hosted our first annual dinner where our stakeholders and stuff and donors were able to just come, and even just people, if you were interested in knowing what we do, we held it at the Shadowland and people came and learned more about the Salvation Army, and it was a packed house.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So it's really good. Again, having the neighborhood and the community know who we are and know that we're not just, while we're located here in Benton Harbor, we serve such a greater span than just here. And so,
that's another thing. If we right at the border by Michigan City, and so people right there at New Buffalo be like, you all don't serve us, but we do.
We do.
We serve all the way there, all the way to Van Buren County.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I think we're now becoming more of a presence. And so people are getting to know us a little better.
That's wonderful.
Great, yeah. So we kind of mentioned already, we are getting into the middle of the holiday season, the end of the year. What would you say are some of your greatest needs right now?
Definitely food. The minute we buy food for the food pantry, it goes right back out the door. So that...
And kids are getting ready to go on Christmas break.
Yes.
Where they'll be home. And so...
Instead of school.
If somebody wants to donate food, is that a financial donation, or do you want them to bring...
They can bring actual food, unexpired.
Soup cans,
Yep.
boxed food. Yep. Okay.
We have freezer, refrigeration, so if someone want to bring food that need refrigerated.
Perishable.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And they come here.
They come here,
Okay.
And then also...
but I'm sorry. We call 211 first to get referred, and then we'll be able to help.
That's if you want assistance. But if you're looking to just donate...
Yes.
Can you just show up?
Yep.
They just show up.
Yep.
But that's good to know also. So if you need assistance, call 211.
And they'll refer you here.
Okay.
And right now, the Salvation Army has a program in which we partner with Toys for Tots called the Angel Tree Program, in which we help provide families who are unable to purchase Christmas gifts for their kids. We provide that for them. And so, again, we partner with Toys for Tots and
many other businesses in the area as well.
We have Angel Tree tags from the Salvation Army's end that we give to businesses and stuff, and they go out and purchase gifts and whatnot. But we decided to go all the way up and assist kids up to 16. And that's typically where, most 13, our son is 9 and he's asking for iPhones. And what is that? Right.
Yeah, VR goggles. Yeah. Slow your roll there.
Right. But because we're one of the unique areas where we offer gifts to kids up to age 16, it's been hard to get, gifts for kids that age. So if someone wants to purchase, gifts that, whether that's jewelry or, purses or cologne
Perfume,
or something,
cologne.
Right.
help assist us in those areas. If not, we would have to purchase that, which is completely fine. But if the community wanted to rally around us, that's probably one of our greatest needs.
And how do they
as
get
well.
involved? Do they just call here if they want to
Yep.
do this?
They can call here. They can come here, get angel tree tags.
Yep.
They can give you an idea of what to purchase. And we ask that they come new and unwrapped. So the
Gotcha.
parent or the grandparent has opportunity to wrap.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
like that.
And
I
they can
like
also,
that.
we have a program called Adopt a Family.
Mhm.
If you feel that you want to you want to purchase gifts for everyone in the family, not just
So
one
mom,
child.
dad,
Oh.
18-year-old, 17-year-old.
Yep.
You want to bless the whole family.
Yep. You give
We
us a
have that
call and
program.
say, hey, I'm looking for a family of 3 or 4 or 7. And can you tell me some details? And we'll pull a family. And we'll just say it's a single mom with 7 kids. The
Single
interest,
dad, 3
there's-
kids.
Right.
Depending on what they're looking for.
and you can adopt the entire family.
Oh, that's
Oh,
lovely.
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is lovely. Kind of going from lovely to negative, so forgive me. But speaking of the holidays
Yeah.
and giving, and we know this country is really awesome at it, and
Yeah.
we're givers, but there also are scams.
Yeah.
And do you have advice for our listeners how to make sure the charitable organization that they're thinking of giving to is legitimate?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I know for us, if you ever given to us before, you will receive periodically a letter from us, and you will know that it's us because our signatures are
Okay.
on the paper. The envelope and everything is, it states our name, it states our address, it's certain pictures, and we purposely market our material like that so you would know that it comes from the Salvation
Right,
Army.
easily identifiable.
Easily identifiable.
We send thank you letters, and that's all part of
Yeah.
the letters.
It's
Wonderful.
also important if you want to give to, especially like a nonprofit, you can always call up an organization and ask them, what is your charitable ID number? You
Right.
know,
Oh,
what
okay.
is
Yeah.
your, if I give a donation, can I have a tax write-off?
Right.
Which we keep at our front desk. So if someone brought in something, a gift in kind, gift in kind, we can give them a receipt, and it has the Salvation Army logo,
Okay.
it has the signature and everything on it, to let them know that it's legitimate. And pretty much all nonprofit organizations are pretty much required to have something like that. I will always say, just trust your gut. If you do not feel that it's legitimate, then don't give.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Don't give, or call the headquarters of the place. That's so unfortunate that people,
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
especially around this
Another
time.
thing is you can get involved. And so you can always come down and say, hey, I would like to see the process of where,
Oh, right.
if I bought this toy, I want to see the process of how
Yep.
the family is receiving
Right.
this toy.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So we always open our doors. You can come get a tour. You can always see what we're
Yep,
doing.
we are very transparent with
That's
that.
good.
Any person who donates, we invite them to come down for a tour so you can see where your money is
Yeah.
going to go if you have determined your money to go to a
Okay.
specific place.
Oh, that's
And many donors take us up on that offer.
Yep.
And so we show them around or whatnot, because again, we want them to be confident that again, the money doesn't go, our paychecks doesn't come from
right.
money from donations. We don't get paid through that. So all the money we raise here literally goes right back out into the community.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's been assuring to donors to know that,
Oh, definitely.
to
And I
build
would think it'd
confidence
be
in us.
helpful too for the Salvation Army because somebody coming through will see everything you're doing and maybe be more inclined to even do more than
Yeah.
they were thinking
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's a lot, like we said, there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will like the fact that it is local. Your money stays, even
Yep.
though it's a large organization, their money will
Yep.
stay local. I think that'll be
Very much.
important to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it sounds like you're doing lots of really wonderful things. I know Amy and I sounds like we've learned a lot today. So you've talked a little bit about how to get started if you want to be involved. What would you recommend? Maybe you can share like your address or phone number, or what are the best ways to get started?
You can give us a call at 927-1353, or our address is 233 Michigan Street, and that's located in Benton Harbor. You can give us an email.
Yep. Or you could go to our website, sabentonharbor.org.
Okay.
And when you fill out the form about what you're interested in or whatnot, that comes directly to one of us, and we'll get back in contact with you. Right now, if you're interested in volunteering, if you're wanting, my words are all over the place.
We're all tracking.
We don't blame you. It sounds like you're so busy.
Yes. If you are interested in helping with our kettle and Christmas season, you can go on to registertoring.com.
Registertoring.com.
Okay.
And you can fill out a
make
time
an account,
slot.
and you can put the days that's available. You can sign up for that day.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We're also on Facebook.
Yep. And we post often.
Yeah, Benton Harbor, Salvation Army Benton Harbor. You can find us there as well.
Awesome.
And if that is all too much to do, you can stop by Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock, because we close at 2:30.
Okay.
But so the best time to come is probably around 2 o'clock, and we will be more than happy. One of us or one of our staff will be more than happy to.
Or if you're looking for a church home, come
Right.
on Sunday,
Yes.
10:30.
Yes.
We
Coffee
have
and
donuts,
donuts.
and then we start service at 11.
At 11.
All right.
Okay. So what do you guys think the future of the Salvation Army is?
Oh, it's bright.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Especially here in Benton Harbor,
Yeah.
we think it's bright. We're coming together. We see a lot of churches and people just want to come together for a common goal, and that's to serve people.
Wonderful.
And so I think that it's bright in that area. Our building, it's an older building, but as time goes on, we're changing
We're doing what
things
we
little
can.
by little.
Okay.
The shelter would be beautiful. We got people who's donating things toward the
Wonderful.
shelter. It's very bright.
And even the Salvation Army as a whole, we meet periodically. Like right after this, we have a 3 o'clock meeting where we're meeting as an entire state to talk about Christmas and what does the need look like. How far ahead are we? How far behind are we? And again, even the Salvation Army nationally, as an entire organization, we meet often to talk about the specific needs, what's going on in what's going on in our nation, what's going on in Capitol Hill, what's going on. I mean, like
I'm sure.
we are
Yeah.
well informed. So you can be confident that the Salvation Army is also being both sensitive, but also keeping up with what's going on with our nation as well, so that we can be prepared to assist whenever we can or however we can.
Boy, that is great. Well, I don't know, Amy, I learned a lot. They're doing a lot of stuff
I could
around
stay
here.
here all day. Wow.
And not only you're doing a lot, but it sounds like you're really passionate about what you do,
Yeah.
which is always
And
important.
joy filled, which is
Yeah.
the best.
We love
It's
what we do.
personal,
It is
because we
personal.
received services when we were younger from the Salvation
Okay.
Army. And
Yep.
so to
Oh.
now be in a position to assist, give a hand up.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's personal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Wonderful. Yeah. Well, Mario and Melissa, we are really happy that you joined us today. I think we've got a lot of good information for our listeners, and hopefully a lot of them will want to give their time or resources this holiday season, because it sounds like a really wonderful cause, doing lots of great things. So thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Thanks for
Brian.
having us.
Yeah. Well, Amy, I think we learned a lot about what the Salvation Army is doing in our community and around the world, basically.
Absolutely. I found the history of it fascinating.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff, and they have a long tradition of doing that as well.
sure do.
So, just doing that interview, it kind of got me thinking a little bit back to some of the volunteer opportunities that I've taken advantage of over the years.
Oh, for sure.
Amy, I thought I'd give you an opportunity maybe to bring up one that really sticks in your mind that you've done before.
Oh, that's a great question. I would say within recent memory, when I moved to the area 14 years ago, shortly after moving here, I joined Women's Service League, which is still in existence, and it's been in existence for over 90 years in the community. And it's a great volunteer organization of women, and it's all about service. And one of the reasons I joined it and I think this is still very pertinent today, is that the people who are running it find volunteer opportunities for you, and then the group as a whole does them. And most of our listeners will know Women's Service League because we do Operation Coats every year. And I know you've seen the boxes at our library and all around the community.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, when for years, when we would gather all the coats after having those boxes out for a month, we would sort them at the Salvation Army, which is kind of a tie-in to what we just talked about today. But I know that Americans are known for volunteering. I'm proud of that as an American. And I think almost everyone I know does some sort of volunteering. And it's what keeps, especially here, it keeps this community vibrant and it keeps us connected to it.
Well, I feel like I talk to people all the time, both here at the library and elsewhere, that want to give back to the community. It seems like a really big thing around
I think
here.
so too.
Yeah.
How about, what do you think about when you think about volunteering?
Well, I was going to share something that an experience from college. I had a scholarship, pretty good scholarship that I got when I was in college years ago. And one of the conditions of that was that I had to do a certain amount of community service every semester. And it's not that I didn't want to do it, but like when you're in college, like every single moment is precious.
Yes,
So
exactly.
it's like, I didn't want it to be, oh, well, that's another thing I got to do on top of 50 other things. But, that's the reality of it, when you have a busy schedule. But every Wednesday afternoon, me and some of the other college students would go to the local bowling alley. It was like maybe a mile, if that, down the road. And they had a program where adults that are developmentally challenged would bowl against each other. It would be mostly young adults. I'd say maybe 20s, 30s, mostly, although there were some older folks there as well. And basically our role as the students was just to go there and just encourage them, talk to them, tell them they did a good job and all that stuff. And, when you do something like that, you don't always know right away how much of an impact you're having. Sometimes you can tell, but sometimes you can't. And, it was a really great experience. And so maybe 3 or 4 years or so after I graduated from the college, I was back in town. I don't even remember what the reason was for that, but I ran into one of the young men that I usually worked with every week. I ran into him at a restaurant off campus. And he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, Brian, how you doing?" Like, I hadn't seen him in years. I was like, "How in the world did he remember me?"
Right.
But it's you don't always think that you're having that kind of an impact. But believe me, you can have a big impact, even if you don't know that you are at the time.
Exactly.
So, I was kind of blown away by that. But it was really impressive he remembered that. So it made me feel good that I did have an impact.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And like they say, you get as much out of it as you put into it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a two-way street with volunteering in a very positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think we learned a lot in this episode, and hopefully we encouraged a lot of our listeners to get involved in their community and find some new ways to do that. Amy, once again, I think we had a great show today. Thank you once again for doing this with me, and I'll look forward to the next time.
So do I.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hope everybody has a good rest of their day.
Exactly.